Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
Welcome to Super Movie Brothers, episode 71. I am your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay.
Jay, what the fuck were you up to this week? How'd you like your homework assignment there, pal? Save it for the end.
Yeah, we'll save it to the end.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Come on. We hung out a little bit, which was nice.
That's true.
It was kind of cool to go out and just not do podcast talk, know nothing about movies, just kind of bullshit and
That's right.
hang out.
No wife. I went out by myself.
Solo.
No wife.
Yeah.
Well, she went out without me for like 5 hours with coworkers from work. So it was
Payback.
It was even Steven. Well, no, I mean I invited her out, but she just came home from her happy hour.
It was late.
Yeah, she got home at like 9:30, and then she's like, I'm going to bed, and just walked to bed and passed out. So you and I, we went to Broken Goblet and didn't stay long.
No.
There was no good beers on tap. No beers that I was like really craving. No beers I really enjoyed.
Nothing new.
Yeah.
You know, it was just same old, same old.
And then the band that came up, like they looked like a solid band. Like they looked like a solid rock band.
And
I was
they sounded it too.
no, they sounded professional as fuck. Like
I
they
know.
sounded good.
And that's what I asked you. I was like, I wonder where they play.
Right,
Because this is, I mean, I feel like this is a little bit beneath them.
They sounded good. They were the Parsnip Experience. That's what it was. And I don't know what the fucking Parsnip Experience is, but that's what they were called. But they sounded great. Like usually when, especially in a small place like Broken Goblet, terrible acoustics and stuff. But they sounded great. And of course Jay was there, not RJ, one of the owners, Jay, running the sound. And that is like his passion in life.
Yeah.
And he's really, really good at it. The dude either missed his calling or is just reaching his calling for being a music producer.
Yeah.
But anyway, he they sounded great, but the music, like they looked like this band, like they looked like this STP Foo Fighters like rock band, and they get up there and they sang 2 love ballads in a row, and I was like, we got to go. Like
it
I'm
was
not
just
doing this.
like real easy, soft rock kind of like, 4 guitars, a drummer, and it was just all easy listening, just generic rock love songs.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was just nothing bad, but nothing good,
Yeah, that's limp dick rock. It's not
limp dick
fucking
rock.
It's not fucking hard rock. It's
Nah.
fucking limp dick rock, man. And I was
is.
like, yeah, I can't take this anymore. I had to leave because I can't stand that type of like schmaltzy rock and roll. It's just not for me, man.
And on top of that, it was just loud enough where we couldn't have a conversation and talk. And that's just, come on.
I don't need to talk to you. I could have said if it was good music, I would have sat there all night.
That's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't even like good music where
No.
you can actually just enjoy the music, but it was just
No,
too
so
loud and too blah.
We got the fuck
We had
out
to
of
get the
there
hell out of there.
and went to Humeville Inn, which was, I mean, that's like your favorite haunt. I'm not saying I outgrew it, but like I don't go there much anymore, man.
Well, I don't go there much anymore either.
That's a homebody bar. You know what I mean? Like that's
but that's what I like about it.
It's a regular bar. I'm not a regular anywhere. Like I don't go to the bar that often.
I'm a regular at many bars.
That's true.
That's one of my regular many bars. So,
But you did have an experience. You went to a new brewery.
I did, and this one is in New Hope, and it's called Great Barn Brewery. A very small microbrew. And they have a really cool small location that's overlooking the little creek and a bridge stream, I
am not indie enough to walk the streets of New Hope. Not without you. Like you're like my indie street cred if I go to New Hope.
And that was me last Friday. It was such a cold and windy fucking day.
You had a scarf on. Please tell me you had a fucking scarf on.
I should have.
It was scarf. Did you have a scarf and a fedora on?
I did not. Sorry.
You looked away. Are you lying to me? You're lying to me. You got a fucking scarf and a fedora on.
I had a flannel shirt on.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean that's indie enough.
Yeah.
Were you wearing those gay boots without?
I got new Ray-Bans. I was wearing those.
Oh my god.
So
All dressed
I met
up
with
and
lunch.
no one to blow.
I just kind of had nothing else to do, and I just bar hopped. So I actually was walking by. I didn't even know that brewery was even there, and
Can we
I
talk
had
about
to
this?
go into it.
You are walking around bar hopping in New Hope alone.
Yeah. Well, no. In the very beginning, I had lunch with a friend, this older gentleman I used to work with, and
Last week it's an older woman. This week it's an older gentleman.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a charming guy.
I guess in your old age,
I think you met him, Paul. He was at my birthday shindig. Glasses, great hair.
No, don't remember. Your prostitution. You've had to branch out, haven't you?
Pretty much.
Old woman last week. Older
He
guy
bought, he
this
bought
week.
me an old fashioned after lunch. It was nice. Yeah. We checked out this new place called the Salt
buying
House.
you things.
So but after that he parted ways and met up with some other friends of his
that you weren't
that
allowed
were
to,
at the gay bar, and I
you weren't
I
allowed
chose
to-
not to go to
You weren't. Wait, the Raven.
the Raven.
Yeah.
he went to the Raven. I didn't go. I could have. Didn't want to go.
We've been there before. We had a fucking.
Ooh. We had a time.
Didn't we almost get into a fight with two gay guys who thought that we were cheating at pool?
Yes, and
Hilarious.
you crashed your car on a tree.
I did. I crashed my
in
car
the
into a
parking lot,
tree.
which is a very tight parking lot.
It was.
in your defense and very dark.
It was, yeah, and
We had
I
maybe
didn't
one
have
too many drinks in us.
no, I didn't have reverse lights. I couldn't see behind me. There was
Oh.
no reverse lights in my on my old LeBaron. That's what we were
There's
driving.
no rear view cameras in those cars back
No,
then.
it's a 1989 LeBaron. Come on, man.
So, but that was a fun night. It was interesting, you know.
But anyway, your man of the night that
Yes,
you let go.
Man of the afternoon was he let me go. I went
Fucking-
to
fucking pumped you and
I went
dumped you.
I went to the brewery. Went to the brewery, and then I went up River Road. It was a beautiful ride, and stopped at Triumph Brewery, which I also like, and had a beer there.
I have never found a beer there that I've liked.
Really?
Yeah. Triumph,
I like a few of their beers.
Triumph Brewery is like a brewery that is, it's around here. They have about 3 or 4
I
locations.
like their darker beers.
But
I
they
don't like
don't-
their lighter beers normally.
They don't bottle or brew. I mean, they don't bottle or can anything. I mean, they've always
Well, they do
been-
cans now.
Do they do cans now?
I brought them over before.
Well, then they've lost all street cred. No, you brought over the vault.
Oh, fuck me. I'm sorry. I meant the vault.
Oh, you went to the vault.
I meant the vault.
So you left New Hope
And I drove up River Road to Yardley
to Yardley.
to the vault. My apologies.
Okay.
And but it was a good time. After the vault, I had one beer, got a nice nap in afterwards in the afternoon, and then
Your little nap, did you?
yeah, went to dinner, and then we hung out on Friday night.
Wow, great story, Jay. That
It
old
was,
man fucking you would have been more interesting than whatever yarn you just fucking spun for
I mean,
everybody.
he would want to probably. He is bisexual,
All right, well, there you go.
so I mean, just saying. But you know,
What the fuck?
we're just good friends.
Dude, what the fuck ever, dude? What else did you do anything else this weekend?
No, that's it.
I stopped caring. I stopped caring
No,
about
I
your
really
story.
didn't. I didn't do anything. Low key.
We're about like 7 minutes into this, and I've already stopped caring about whatever you were saying. I'm sorry.
I was rambling too much.
You definitely were. You definitely were. So for me, obviously, other than hanging out with you Friday night, which wasn't all that interesting, no offense, but us hanging out, that's not breaking news. I
hung out with your cousin Ray. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
he was working. He was bouncing, which means he sits in the corner and drinks a beer and waits for one of the regulars to start shit, which never happens. So he really doesn't do that. Doesn't really do much. But
True.
one of the things we did this weekend was Lauren went and picked out our turkey for Friendsgiving, which we'll be having on December 2nd. And because we're doing it the weekend after Thanksgiving instead of the weekend of Thanksgiving, we've had to get a larger bird. We have a 22-pound turkey that I'm going to have to brine for 48 hours, dry out for another 24 hours, and then baste, butter, salt, pepper, chuck that bitch in there, and cook for about 4 to 5 hours.
Don't forget the beer.
Yeah, well, I based in beer, but anyway, we're getting ready for that. Me and Lauren always have a fun time hosting everybody and doing Thanksgiving with all of our friends and a few family members. Sunday, I just sat around and did a whole fuck ton of nothing. I decided to revisit a bunch of movies that we had reviewed in the summer that we gave pretty high scores to. I just wanted to go back. I wanted to watch them. I wasn't so hot on Spider-Man Homecoming when that came out, so I decided to go back and watch Spider-Man Homecoming again. And I did enjoy it a whole lot more this second time around. I thought it was a really, really well-made Marvel movie, still a Marvel movie though, but really, really well made. And I think more so than anything, I wasn't so crazy about the story, but fuck, Tom Holland is charming as shit.
Yes, he is.
As Peter Parker. And I think that's what I gravitated towards this time. Just how well he is as Peter Parker. It's really beautiful. I'm still not too impressed with Michael Keaton's Vulture. I wish that if you have an actor like him, you got a little bit more out of him. But I found out that I enjoyed the film a whole lot more this time around than I did the first time seeing it. I also went back and rewatched It, and just as fantastic this time as it was the first time.
Cool. I'm looking forward to revisiting that.
I'm still in love with It. I love the little minutia, the details and stuff like that. And every time I watch it, I find something new that is, kind of like an homage to the book, kind of an homage to the original story. Like watching it this time, I didn't notice that one of the clowns in the room, when Richie gets locked in the room and he sees his own dead doll body inside of a coffin, one of the dolls is exactly the same as Pennywise from the original 1990 miniseries of It.
Ah, nice Easter egg.
Yeah, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So different things. And then the other film I watched was Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when we reviewed it, and I didn't like Spider-Man Homecoming so much. This time around, I wasn't so hot on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Really, the jokes wear on you like over repeat viewings. And I'm wondering, am I going to think the same about Thor Ragnarok when that comes around and stuff? And I've seen it several times.
I thought about that. Yeah.
I think when you're so joke heavy like that, it really does not take away from the film, but does add a little bit less of a rewatchability to it because the punchlines
maybe not
are
so
old.
much for kids.
No, but also the ending still gets me. It still makes me tear up. So kudos for them for that.
Good.
But that's all the films that I rewatched, and obviously I had to spend my night watching. My Sunday night after me and Lauren watched The Walking Dead, I had to watch your homework movie, which we'll talk about later on.
Yes. So I actually went to the theaters and saw Murder on the Orient Express. It's essentially a beautiful meh.
Yeah.
It's a lavish ensemble movie directed and starring Kenneth Branagh.
So here's one of the reasons I didn't want to go see this before you get into it.
Yeah.
I'm a big Agatha Christie fan. Like, I've read a bunch of Agatha Christie novels. One of my favorite books ever is 10 Little Indians.
And this is a remake. This is already an Academy Award-winning film.
Right. One of my favorite books is Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, which was already made into a movie, 10 Little Indians. I was actually thinking that if Murder on the Orient Express did well, which was a book that was also written by her, that they would remake And Then There Were None. However, when I was watching the trailer for Murder on the Orient Express, there were some things that were like bothering me by it. Murder on the Orient Express is very much like a mystery. It's very much like a detective story. There's not a whole lot of action in it. In this, like I remember seeing the trailer, the train was stopped at some points, and then there was like all this action going on the outside.
It's only one sequence.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still.
I know. It's a pointless sequence, but I think they literally threw it in there just for dramatic effect for one of the characters.
It takes away from the noir aspect of a detective story, I think.
And that's the worst thing about it for me was the fact that you didn't care. You had no care about any of the characters, and you just were not immersed into this murder mystery. And it's hard to pinpoint exactly why. It just didn't deliver. And I guess you can kind of fault Kenneth Branagh for that, but he did a good job acting-wise, despite his, grotesquely
massive mustache.
It was just too distracting.
Do you have a score for
a C+?
A C+?
I'll give it a C+ still.
You might as well just give it 2-0 fucks given.
Essentially. It's one of those movies where I think my grandmother would probably really enjoy it. If she was still around, I would have definitely taken her to see it. I think a certain kind of crowd might enjoy it, but it was just not worth it for me.
So, Jay, let's get into our news. All right, Jay, what brief news stories do you got that we can talk about?
Finally, I think Dark Universe is finally over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was obvious from
Yeah, so Universal essentially fired producers Alex Kurtzman and Chris Morgan.
from the day I wasted money to see The Mummy in the theater. I knew that this thing was fucking done.
Yep. Quick interesting news. Actually, Ridley Scott and other producers have decided to replace Kevin Spacey in All the Money in the World to meet their December release date with Christopher Plummer. They're going to reshoot the scenes with $2.5 million additional budget for the movie.
And it's still supposed to come out before December 20th.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I think they had that much faith behind this property, and they really want to do something with the
and they don't want to
the
taint
award
it.
circuit.
They don't want to taint it by putting a pederast on fucking film.
Exactly. It
And
looks terrible with all that makeup on anyway. It's also leading into our next news segment, which Gal Gadot is refusing to work in Wonder Woman 2 if Brett Ratner
Is not bought out
still
of
in the
his-
production company
Right. Well, he has a contract.
producing this
so
movie.
he has to be bought out of his contract.
That's essentially what Warner Brothers
To get
is
rid of
going to have to do to keep Gal Gadot on board with
Which
this
I
film,
honestly,
which will happen.
100% Warner Brothers doesn't want that type of negative
They don't want
publicity
these
attached to their
headlines.
films. Exactly. So
And this is
that
just
will.
a page 6 gossip column, and but at the same time, people are praising Gal Gadot for it. even if she didn't say that. It's just one of those things. So this is an ongoing issue that's going to keep on coming and trickling out for months and months and years to come, probably.
It's weird. There's no HR department in Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no
Right.
you can't.
It's your publicist.
Exactly. There's no HR department in Hollywood. There's no one you can really go to and say like, "Hey, I was sexually harassed." And many of these women are aspiring actresses, if not actresses themselves, or people working in the industry. And it's not easy for a woman to work in that industry, period. Whether they're an actress, no matter what level of the totem they are on. And
You're right.
It's
I know.
not easy for them to come out and say, this person who is a superior has done something to me that is a crime. Because if it becomes unsubstantiated or it cannot be proven, they've just done themselves in. They're done. They are going to be directing high school plays for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, keep your dick in your pants. I mean, how fucking hard is that? How fucking hard is it to not whip your dick out and masturbate in front of people? Is it really that hard to not do that? I don't know, man. Maybe we need to do like, Europe does, where like in America we have stalls, you can see people's feet, you can kind of tell what they're doing in there. Maybe we need like those privies, like those privacy rooms that you go in, and anyone who wants to wank it, just fucking wank it in the fucking stall. Get it out of your system and go to fuck back. Wash your hands and then go back to work.
Give it 10 more years, Hollywood's going to make a movie about this whole situation.
Oh, 100%. I mean, 100%. It'll be the Big Short 2 starring you.
Yeah. Rinse, wash, repeat.
Jay, I just wanted to follow up on a news story me and you did a couple months ago. We reported that James Bond did not have a U.S. distributor any longer, that Sony had pretty much ended their distribution with them, or at least chose not to renew it. However, they did. MGM has found a U.S. distributor. Annapurna is now the domestic distributor for James Bond 25. That really comes as no shock to anybody, because the current head of Annapurna was a former Sony executive and was involved with the previous Bond films, especially the Daniel Craig Bond films and their distribution. So me and you thought that was a pretty interesting story, and we wanted to follow it, see where that went. Turns out it was going nowhere. It meant
Pretty much
absolutely nothing. We talked about last week how Disney was doing some meetings with Fox. Reportedly, some of those meetings have fallen through. They haven't gone the way that people were thinking they were going to go. It's not like Disney walked away with a handful of properties.
It's a work in progress.
Time will tell. It's
Yeah.
a work in progress.
They're having meetings. That's all it is.
There's-
Casual
there's-
talk.
right.
They're just batting around the idea.
Yeah.
It would take a long time.
But one of the things that Disney has kind of come out and said without saying it, there will be no new Marvel TV series on Netflix,
I'm not surprised at all.
which definitely has everything to do with the fact that in 2019, Disney will have its own streaming service.
Yeah, they're vamping up for that big unveil.
Right.
And we still don't know all the details about it.
But what I'm wondering is, like, there's still so many other Marvel properties that are coming out there. Like this ending with Netflix had already stopped with the 4 and 5. Well, the 5 shows that they had talked about. They gave them the Punisher, and now there's a Punisher series coming out. There's probably going to be another Defenders series. There's probably going to be another couple seasons of Daredevil and all the other ones. But even before,
I never finished Defenders.
But even before that, they were already shopping their properties off to other places. We know that Freeform is going to have 2 Marvel TV shows. They're going to have Cloak and Dagger, and they're going to have The New Warriors, starring Squirrel Girl. And then there's also Hulu, which in December, I believe, or January, is going to start The Runaways, which is another Marvel property. So even before the streaming service, they were already kind of ending their relationship with Netflix. And I'm just wondering, like, then if you knew this streaming service was coming, why would you even let the other companies have their Marvel TV shows? Why wouldn't you hold off on those until you had your own streaming service so you can roll those out on a quarterly basis and really just boost your quarterly numbers for your streaming service?
Yeah.
What I was really wondering was, does that mean that this streaming service that Disney is doing is kind of like not an out of left field thing, but something that just kind of came up and they're like, yep, we're doing this before they already had all the rest of this stuff in motion?
I think they're just seeing the trends. I think it's a bigger bitch. It's a really bigger picture thing. It's the theaters are.
I love how you said it's a bigger bitch.
I know. It's a bigger bitch of a situation.
It's a bigger bitch of a situation.
It is. With just the success of Hulu and Amazon and also Netflix. And the theaters are not doing that great, Dave. No. And this year has been a very
tough
weak year. Yeah. So it's one of those things where you can always bank on.
September had
the
lowest box office numbers for any year in the past. What was it? 15 years, like since the 90s. It was the lowest.
But at the same time, there hasn't.
Now there was a good amount this year. There's stuff out there to like.
There was good stuff out there.
I would say this year was even better.
I think July was the best month.
I think this year was better than 2017 was better than 2016 for the summer.
Maybe.
I'd have to spend some time going back.
Yeah, I would have to think about that.
But
there was a 2-month stretch that was really, really strong.
But in keeping up with the Disney streaming service, one of the things that they didn't do was they didn't rush a Star Wars live action TV series into production, and now it seems like they are going to.
I'm also anticipating more news about Star Wars around the release date and after, and probably.
Absolutely.
What do you think? You think Ewan might make an appearance?
I don't know, but we're definitely going to see some. We're definitely going to see some Han Solo footage soon. We're probably going to see something soon. Probably a couple months after The Last Jedi has come out and some of that stuff dies down, we're going to start seeing some stuff
maybe even before.
For Han Solo. And then, we know that Ron Howard pretty much took that down to the skeleton and rebuilt it. From all reports, it really wasn't. They really didn't save much from Lord and Miller. I mean, he really just went in and they redid a lot when he came on, and they hadn't done a lot. But I mean, what I mean is, some of the stuff, even down to production design, they've redone for that film. But back to the live action series for Star Wars, there was one in development years ago that was. George Lucas actually hired writers, and there was 50 scripts that were developed, and the show never saw the light of day. It was something that Disney acquired. However, KG reports are basically stating that is not the series that they are developing. That would have been a Star Wars Underworld series that would have involved the underworld, mainly of Coruscant and bounty hunters, and you would have gotten your Boba Fett's and your Bosks and stuff like that working in the underworld. Not many Jedi at all, but a lot of bounty hunters and a lot of like political and espionage and stuff like that, like the real nitty gritty dirt and grime of the Star Wars universe. And I always thought that was pretty cool, but now they are developing a TV series, but we don't know about what, about who, or anything about it. But the streaming service will reportedly be where they unveil that, and that is their nail in the fucking coffin. A live action Star Wars series is their nail in the fucking coffin for that streaming service. If you weren't buying into it when they first announced it, you're buying it now. You're getting in on the ground floor now. Especially if they say we're launching with the first season of a Star Wars TV series. Everybody's in. Everybody's in.
Just for that alone.
Just for that alone.
You know?
Absolutely. $9.99 a month. Have my money. I will gladly watch that. I will binge that shit in a weekend. But that goes on to more Star Wars news, where Star Wars, as they talk about the future, they're really, with the release of Episode 8, they're really gearing up for what is the future of Star Wars.
I mean, it straight up confirms that they absolutely love this movie and they love Rian Johnson.
Yeah, because he has just been given his own trilogy, and the only thing they've said about it is that it's a Skywalker-free trilogy. That really doesn't leave you with a whole lot. Some people are saying that Rey and Finn will not be in it. A Skywalker-free trilogy, Rey and Finn, there might be a place for them, but they might not be the stars of it. Or, it might take place post,
I kind of think he
9.
should mostly depart himself from it.
I think he should too.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know a whole lot about the Star Wars universe outside of the films, but what I think they really should do, it's something that fans love, and maybe that's more of a niche market, but I think people would love to see a story about the Grand Old Republic, pre Anakin Skywalker. Go all the way back to the Old Republic, go back to when the Republic started, back when the Jedi were fighting Mandalorians and the Sith were as numerous as the Jedi and were spread out all over the dark reaches of space.
So it'd be constant war.
Yeah, I would love an Old Republic story. Yeah. Yeah, before the rule of 2.
And I think Ryan would be a perfect guy for that because he likes a little bit of the dark, Yeah. And I think he could, balance the light and dark scenes and story to go along with that.
But, I mean, other than that, there's tons of other areas to play with. I was thinking, how great would it be for you video game fans out there who played Rogue Squadron and Rogue Leader back on your fucking GameCubes and on your PCs, TIE Fighter and X-Wing, to really get a story that follows the pilots, that follows the throughout the wars. Like that's kind of cool. You have like a side story, a companion to the original trilogy, much like Rogue One was. There's tons of places they could go with it, and we don't know a whole lot, but the prospect is pretty intriguing. The only downside is I just know that they're never going to stop. I will die before the last Star Wars film has seen the screen, which is kind of sad for me.
Unless they all start getting shitty.
That's going to do it for us in this news segment this week. If you would like to reach out to us at Super Movie Pod, let us know what error you would like to see Rian Johnson play with. Do you want to see something that takes place in the Galactic Civil War? Do you want to see something that takes place, during the Clone Wars, pre-Clone Wars? Do you want to see something that takes place in the Old Republic? Let us know. Reach out to us on Twitter at SuperMoviePod. So coming up next, Jay is going to get deep inside of his indie corner, and he's got a little ditty that he wants to bring to you. Watch it. Don't watch it. I mean, honestly, I'm fatigued on Jay's indie corner, just like I'm fatigued on Marvel. After having to watch his...
You want to watch this movie. Come on.
After having to watch his indie film this week for our movie homework, you'll hear all about that at the end of the podcast. Welcome back to Jay's Indie Corner. He's got a little indie ditty he wants to bring to you, and he wants you to watch, and I have a fake synopsis for this bullshit. Jay, what is your indie film?
Chuck.
A one-word fucking indie film, and you want me to come up with a fucking... I know how much you love those one words, yeah. Synopsis on the fucking spot. So,
great name, Chuck.
So Chuck is the story of the grown-up version of Chucky Finster from Rugrats. This is an indie film version of what happened to the Rugrats as they got older, but it really stars Chucky Finster and his mundane, boring life. He has
still wearing a diaper?
No. He's just a redheaded bastard stepchild that he's always been. He's such a working dog, and he's such a schlub, and then he comes home to his wife who doesn't appreciate him, and to his kids that are absolute brats, and his only friend that he confides in is his friend Tommy, who is a former addict down on his luck, but is still tending bar at the local bar, and of course, they obviously hang out with Phil and Lil. However, Phil is just out of a stint in prison, and Lil is currently shacking him up. Angelica has just ended a 10-year marriage to a rich man, and she is already blew through all the money from her settlement, and there is no alimony because she was dumb enough to sign a fucking prenup. And it's really just following back up with them, and eventually all of them come together and realize the only time that they could ever solve their problems was when they worked together. So they kill Chuck's wife and then fucking bury her in the back right next to Spike the dog.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I don't know.
Things just went dark.
I had to go somewhere.
Dun, dun, dun.
I had to end that somewhere. All right, Jay. What the fuck is Chuck about?
All right, this 2016 film is based on the true life story of Chuck Wepner, a.k.a. the Bayonne Bleeder. His heavyweight claim to fame was that he went 15 rounds with Muhammad Ali before a technical knockout with 20 seconds left of the match.
And a bleeder is in boxing is a fluff. They're a fluff match. They're someone that you throw at someone who has real prospects at doing something great.
Right.
And
this guy had like an iron jaw. Right. He could just take a punch. Wasn't the greatest fit guy. He was kind of like a out of shape, just tough dude.
Sounds like a certain 200-pound Italian tank that I know of.
So yeah, he's actually
you're gonna eat lightning and crap thunder.
So this was actually, he was the inspiration for the character of Rocky in Sylvester Stallone's franchise, and I thought that was really, really cool. And he's having his time in the spotlight on the silver screen, which is pretty cool, right? And the film is really well shot. It's kind of like an indie style. It's acted by Liev Schreiber playing Chuck, and he's just fantastic in it. He really plays the role really well done. And this story is kind of on the cliche side, boxer, infidelity, drugs, he kind of the usual kind of stuff with the claim of fame. But it's a really still an interesting character study, and it shines a light on a guy who wasn't quite as successful as, say, Ali or like George Foreman. But it shows how knowing that, though, can like really affect a certain kind of individual, emotionally and psychologically, that you were just so close to the spotlight and the top, but you just never quite were right, just weren't quite good enough for it,
Well, that comes down to raw talent, Jay. He just didn't have it. He just didn't have raw talent.
Yeah. So it's definitely a movie that's still worth a watch, and I think your dad should check it out.
I'm telling you, that's too much of a drama for him. He does not want to watch that.
It's more of a fun drama than Raging Bull.
That reminds me a lot of The Simpsons when Homer Simpson fights Dredrick Tatum for the belt. Homer can just take a fucking beating. That's all Homer's really good for. So when Moe trains him to fight, instead of training him to actually fight, Moe just beats him with a 2x4. So he learns how to take a hit. It's about the
maybe they got that storyline from him.
All right, so people know whether this is something they want to watch. As good or better than Cinderella Man?
Oh, it's a completely different kind of style of film.
God,
though.
Never mind. Coming up next, me and Jay got beers for you. We're going to continue our Stout month, so we got 2 new Stouts.
This is a more fun movie to watch, put it that way.
And our drunk scene. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the beer segment. We got 2 stouts that we're going to be reviewing for you in keeping with Jay's Stout Month throughout November. But before we get there, of course, we have a drunk scene. And tonight's drunk scene is coming from a classic film, a gangster film. And it is one of my favorite gangster films. I think it's
mine as well.
A perfectly made gangster film. And it definitely put Martin Scorsese on the map as like the gangster guy.
Definitely.
At least in the 90s. And definitely, it's one of the greatest films that was made in 1990. So here it is.
What's really funny is the fucking bank job away in Secaucus. I'm in the middle of the fucking weeds, laying down. He comes over, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm resting." "Here, you're resting?" "Got a fucking beach in a park." I said, "I'm resting." "I know I'm resting. They pull me in, they start giving me all kinds of questions, this and that. He says, "Oh, so what are you gonna tell us, tough guy?" I said, "My usual, zero, nothing. I tell you fuck." He says, "No, you're gonna tell me something today, tough guy." I said, "All right, I'll tell you something. Go fuck your mother." Bing, pow, boom, bing. You saw the paper, Anthony, my head was up like this. Prick. So now I'm coming around, I start to come out of it. Who do I see in front of me? This big prick again. He says, "Oh, what do you want to tell me now, tough guy?" I said, "Bing, what are you doing here? I thought I'd tell you to go fuck your mother." I thought he was gonna shit. Pow, ping, pow. What the fuck is... Gee, I wish I was big just once. The big cops.
Really funny. Really funny.
What do you mean I'm funny?
It's funny, it's a good story. It's funny. You're a funny guy.
What do you mean? You mean the way I talk? What?
It's just, you're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
How? I mean, what's funny about it?
Tommy, no, you got it all wrong.
Oh, Anthony. He's a big boy. He knows what he said. What'd you say?
You're right.
Funny how? What?
Just, you're funny.
You mean,
So?
let me understand this, because maybe it's me, I'm a little fucked up, maybe. But I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Not just, how you tell the story. What?
No, I don't know. You said it. How do I know? You said I'm funny. How the fuck am I funny? What the fuck is so funny about me? Tell me. Tell me what's funny.
Get the fuck out of here, to Tommy.
You motherfucker! I almost had him. You stuttering prick here. Frankie, was he shaking? I wonder about you sometimes, Henry. You may fold under questioning.
So obviously this scene is from Goodfellas, and it's one of my favorite scenes with Joe Pesci and his character Tommy. It is, it really shows what a hothead he is, but it also shows, the amount of power that these guys have, that they could just go into a club, cause all this type of ruckus, and really there's no repercussion. No one in there is going to call the police.
Exactly.
No one in there is going to. There's no repercussions for any of their actions.
And you see one guy come and
He's the maitre d'. Yeah, he's the owner. I mean,
yeah, and come in and try to get some money off of them.
Well, yeah, he's
they owe him because they keep on racking up these high bills.
Tommy has run up a bar
wreaking
tab
havoc.
of $7,000, and he was offering to buy everybody dinner there, and he's like, "Just put it on my tab." And the guy's like, "That's what I came over here to talk about. You embarrass me like this in front of my friends." But can I be honest about the story he's telling in the beginning?
Yeah,
That the one that's got everybody cracking up.
it's retarded.
It's not funny.
No, it's not funny at all.
It's not funny at all, but everybody's laughing because everyone's afraid of him.
Exactly. and laughing hysterically, with belly laughs.
Right. Like Henry takes it too far. He goes too far.
and you see Ray Liotta, he gets the blunt of the drawback from that.
Yeah,
right.
Sort of.
Sort of. I mean, he kind of gets
He
singled
ribs him.
out,
He
saying
ribs
that
him.
hey, you're a funny guy. What do you mean?
Because he's the one that opened up his fucking mouth.
Yeah.
I'm a funny
What do you
guy.
mean? I'm just,
Like I'm a fucking clown. Like I'm here to amuse you.
how am I funny?
How am I funny? Funny how? But it is a great scene, and of course it ends with him bashing a bottle over the maitre d's head for even asking him for the $7,000, and then of course the waiter is looking at him, and he grabs a glass and throws it at the waiter, and he's just like too afraid to come over and ask you for the check.
It was some random guy in a Hawaiian shirt.
No, he was the waiter.
He looked like a clown.
He was the waiter.
He was the one that looked like a clown, right?
He was telling him. He told him that that he's too afraid. He told him he's too afraid to come over and get the check.
Yeah.
But it is one of my favorite scenes from that movie. And of course, he has another scene just like that when he's drunk, where he winds up shooting a kid in the foot,
I know,
making him dance. So you really see him go too far at that point.
And then that's when De Niro steps in and
Right.
And he's like, come on, too far.
De Niro's the guy I would have been afraid of in that film. Even though he's the nicest of the three, he's definitely the guy that I would have been afraid of. De Niro's just scary, just in and of himself.
Nah, see, Pesci does it for me, man.
Why? Because he's just unhinged.
Yeah.
He's just fucking unhinged.
Yeah.
What are you doing in here? I told you to
Way
go
too
fuck your mother. Bada bing, bada boom. Fuck you. Go fuck your mother.
I'd be long.
Fucking funny.
I'd be across the country as soon as I met that guy. I would have want no parts of that. No parts of it.
All right, Jay, we got 2 beers that we got to review here. So,
do.
what is the beer that you are drinking tonight, sir?
I have the Boulevard Dark Truth Imperial Stout.
Now, Christina at the beer store that we go to, she's been trying to get me to buy Boulevard beers for a while. They're slightly expensive, some of them.
They are. And
Like a 6-pack is like $19.99. Just a lot.
yeah, this is coming out of Kansas City, and it's 9.7 alcohol by volume.
Kansas City,
60
Kansas, or
IBUs.
Kansas City, Missouri?
Missouri.
Mizzou.
So it's not my favorite stout. It's got a lot of that kind of alcohol flavor to it, with a little bit of like a sour
Yeah.
tinge.
Yeah, you let me choose mine
And-
tonight, and I sniffed them both, and I went, that one's you.
Yeah.
That one's all you. Even though that is less alcohol per volume than mine, it just
Oh, you can know right away sometimes by the smell.
yeah, it's got that scent that I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna like that.
I would say it's probably about 2.5.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's what I gave the one I was drinking last week.
It's drinkable. It has, some really bold coffee flavor, chocolate flavor, but has that like sour aftertaste that just really does not end well.
The beer that I am drinking is North Coast Brewing Company out of Fort Bragg, California. This is their Old Rasputin Russian Imperial Stout. It is 9% alcohol by volume. And I love the label, never say die. Which is ironic because obviously Rasputin was a very hard man to kill. But it is extremely dark in color. It's got that caramel foam to it, but it's got a really balanced taste. It's got nice toasted malts, that nice hint of chocolate flavor on the back end. It's very thick. It's very motor oily, but it is balanced. I like it a lot. There's definitely like notes of vanilla and toffee in it, but nothing is overpowering. It's just really well blended. I like it. It's not too bad. It does have that slight alcohol bite to it.
It does.
It has that, but nowhere near as bad as yours does.
No, and it definitely has that nice finish as well.
Yeah.
That stays true as a really hearty stout.
Toasted mouths, as Jay would say.
Yes.
And this, I'm giving a 3.5. I think
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a pretty solid beer. For a lot of these stouts, I'm really never going to go back to them, but I wouldn't kick any of them out of bed for eating crackers either. So
Sure.
So coming up next, me and Jay are going to discuss the movies that we watched for our homework assignment.
I love me some homework.
Yeah. Even though Jay has admitted to me that he
Sarcasm.
just watched his
That's classic me with my homework too.
minutes
Doing it-
before getting here. You were the kid that was like always scribbling it on the bus, just trying to get it in, trying to get it done.
I am Mr. Procrastinator. Yeah.
Walking up to girls and being like, I copy your homework. I copy your homework. That's why you never learn nothing, man.
I just didn't have it in me.
So stay tuned. All right, it's homework time, everybody. So if you were playing along at home and you watch these movies, I would like to know what you thought of the 2 films that we talk about tonight. Reach out to us on Twitter at SuperMoviePod. Let us know. But Jay, you watched the film that I had prescribed for you. I watched a film that you had prescribed for me. I decided to go with Michael Clayton first. What did you go with first?
Dawn of the Dead, the 1978 version.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to go first on this one.
Shoot.
So I watched Michael Clayton last night. Honestly, the opening of the film was probably the most arduous part for me. So I'm going to go first. I watched 2007's Michael Clayton, written and directed by Tony Gilroy. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jay. I found the opening of this film extremely arduous to get through. It was tough. Hearing Tom Wilkinson's monologue in the beginning it almost drove me insane just hearing him talk. I understand that this is the type of movie that is like an actor's piece. Like that's exactly what this is. It's exactly what this film was made for. It was made to allow great actors be great actors. However, I don't know why. I just felt like he is unhinged, right? But I understood that once I watched the film, but still, over the imagery and stuff like that, it got really tedious and frankly annoying to an extent. I did find George Clooney's Michael Clayton to be extremely interesting. I found it interesting what he did. Obviously, the crisis of identity that he was having throughout it. So if you don't know what this is about a law office fixer. Michael Clayton is a lawyer. However, he never steps into a courtroom. He's the guy that sets your case up. And sometimes by setting your case up, he doesn't always do it in the most of legal and or ethical terms.
Right.
And they even say it in the film. He started out as a DA, and then he moved to a special task force for the DA with the New York City Police Department. And then from there, he was very successful. He moved into the private practice, and he started working for one of the world's largest law firms. And no one had pretty much heard from him ever since, as far as they knew. But he was the guy that really fixed your case. He's the guy that really set you up for the win, usually through blackmail and deceit.
He's the guy in the know. He knows how to get things done, and he knows the people that can help the situation move along.
And that I found interesting.
Yes.
What I didn't find interesting so much was the actual case. I just didn't understand why the document that shows up still fucking existed, for Christ's sakes. Why does that still exist? If you're trying to win a class action lawsuit and you put the smoking gun in the deposition, it was there. It was in found evidence. All anyone had to do from the opposing side was pick up that one document, look at it and go, that's it. Done. But instead, it took this entire macabre fucking drama to come out for Michael Clayton to discover this document and use it to blackmail the corporation into doing the right thing. I mean, I found the story to be extremely unbelievable, as if the Midwestern lawyers who were defending the people in the class action lawsuit were the dumbest fucking lawyers that ever fucking existed.
Yeah, the young kids. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Like, if you're a lawyer and you're going through all of the discovery documents, you would have come across that. You would have come across that. A paralegal, anybody would have come across that and realized that was a smoking gun. Everything that was in there. And that was one of my biggest problems with the film, was story. I understand that it was more about the characters than it was the situation that they were in. But I just found that to be the most unbelievable aspect and the most stupid aspect of the film.
So that really bothered you? Okay, cool.
It does.
No, I mean, I hear you. I mean, it's one of those things that I kind of overlooked, and I really just...
No, it's one of those things that's a movie about smart people, but except smart people aren't being smart. That's a problem. That's a problem. These are supposed to be the people that will think their way out of anything, and instead they find a document that any fucking 10-year-old kid could have read and been like, we win. But I mean, beyond that, I mean, I did find enjoyment out of it. I really did enjoy George Clooney in it a lot. However, it's not a film that I really find him riveting in, I mean, I think of The Descendants. I find him riveting.
It's very strong and understated at the same time. I think Michael Clayton performance.
I find him riveting in The Descendants, in Up in the Air. I mean, where he plays
even more so in Up in the Air. Yeah,
but he finds himself he's the same type of character in Up in the Air.
He does it so well, though.
He does do it really well.
They're very similar. I understand that. But they are
his character, not his role,
strong.
Not the story, but yeah, his character.
Right.
Up in the Air, I mean, that's just fucking charming at times. There's absolutely no charm whatsoever, and I couldn't stand Tilda Swinton in it, man. But I think that's not a knock against the movie. I don't like Tilda Swinton. Period. I just never liked Tilda Swinton. So
I have I have mixed emotions on Tilda. She can really annoy me, or I really dig her a lot. It's one of those things where it's just either way. And she was perfect. She was just so sleazy and unlikable, and you can see how like she sees the potential of what she could potentially get herself to be in this law firm if she gets to that certain point and wins this suit.
Yeah, I mean,
so she goes to drastic measures to make sure she does that, and you just see how she's just flying off the rails and she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
And maybe this is a problem with me, not so much a problem with the movie, but I was expecting a whole lot more. If you're going to hand me 3 films and be like, these films are fucking awesome, I was kind of expected to be a little bit blown away. Like, I was expecting to see one of the greatest acting pieces I've ever seen. I was expecting to see, a really riveting story.
We were starting with movies that we have in our library.
That's true.
And most of the movies you've seen.
That's true. I'm definitely never rewatching this. I just didn't find it interesting enough.
I don't blame you for that. That's fine.
I know we're not scoring them. You didn't want to score them, but I'm going to score it.
Okay.
I don't give a shit.
Score it. We can score them.
It's fucking B-. I mean,
okay.
It's a B-. I enjoyed my time with it. I enjoyed it, Jay.
How about the one particular murder scene?
The murder scene that was portrayed by the dumbest fucking guys ever. Like, those guys are so fucking dumb. I didn't understand how Michael Clayton didn't realize that they were following him, because they were right behind him in everything he was doing. I expected him to be a smarter character for it.
Yeah.
I expect him to be a smarter character.
There was a long scene too. The whole sequence.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Oh, and fuck that scene where he's like,
with the car.
He parks the car and goes to fucking touch a horse. What the fuck was that? Come the fuck on. What a fucking bullshit. That was done for shot and shot alone. There was no character development in that shit.
No, I think it's
reason
because
for him to stop and be like, look at the fucking horses.
His crisis of identity and consciousness of like he is so lost. And
he's just a Mustang. He's just a wild fucking bucking bronco that he just wants to go out there and touch a fucking horse. I don't get, dude. That just fucking made no sense. I
don't know.
It was a Deus Ex Machina is what it was. He stopped the car so he didn't die.
All right, let me get into my film here. Come on.
Because he can't die. Why? Because he's the main character. That's why. You want to be more powerful?
He needs to find the truth.
No, you kill Michael Clayton, and then Sidney Pollack comes across he found out, and then does the right thing, because that would have had more power, because he was the fucking head of that law firm.
The law firm, yeah.
That would have had more power, because that would have shown the absolute wrong that was being done by that corporation.
I love that motherfucker. Seeing him on screen,
it's the best part. He was the best part of that movie, Jay. Sidney Pollack was the best part of that movie.
Like Eyes Wide Shut. Oh my god.
Sorry, everybody.
I love him in that movie too.
If you liked Michael Clayton, I didn't hate it, but
you had some issues with it.
Yeah, I had some issues.
So I had Dawn of the Dead, the 1978 horror film that was written and directed by George A. Romero, Dave's number one.
Not Romero. George A. Romero.
Romero, I'm sorry.
Don't say anything bad about this film, because I'll fucking gut you.
we're talking. It essentially follows 4 people just trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, and they find refuge in a mall.
And then 3, and then 2, and then
exactly. And thankfully, it stayed with 2. I think this first half, boy, I struggled to get through. It was. It took me a little while to realize just how the tone of this movie, and plus the fact that it is older. It's a 1978 film, so they're shot a little bit different than they do films nowadays. With the editing and a little bit more of the extra camp factor, which he was trying to do, which I read, which later on I really enjoyed, because the second half of the film is so much better than the first half for me. Because the first half was a lot of setup, a lot of build up for them to get to the mall, for example, to find a place to hide out and to protect themselves from the zombies. Now, these zombies, number one, are my kind of zombies. They act and essentially look, besides the blue face, really, exactly what I love for zombies and what I envision zombies to be and to do and act.
Let's remember last time George A. Romero did zombies, he was doing them in black and white.
Right, and
so the makeup was
apparently
not on
the
point.
makeup was supposed to be gray, but it translated a little bit more bluish on film.
It did, yes, under fluorescent lights of a mall.
Right, and they also didn't always look the same.
True,
and but it's one of those things when you kind of think about it, it would make sense because they are dead and they would be cold and maybe turn blue, right? I don't know.
As someone who's seen dead bodies, no, no, those are not realistic looking bodies walking around now.
That's true. So more than anything, the thing that I took away from it is that the acting is very a little bit all over the place.
These are not great actors, Jay.
No, and the female.
That's not what you're watching this film for.
The female character was.
Where I watched Michael Clayton
trying to be a strong female character, and I guess at the time maybe she was portrayed that way.
No, she was just trying to be.
Shit.
She was just trying to be a 1970s woman with a career. That's what she was trying to be.
Yeah,
that's exactly what she was.
And it was a little underwhelming.
She was having a crisis of identity herself, Jay.
That's true, and she is pregnant.
Yes.
Surprise.
But I mean,
but the writing was weird too. Like a lot of the dialogue that they were saying and the jump cuts.
But get into some of the,
I'm getting there, but
some
like
of the more powerful scenes. Because there's some scenes.
No, but number one thing that I loved was the story. I loved the premise of the movie, and I loved the story of the movie, and the idea of it. It was perfect for like a zombie apocalypse movie for essentially what it is. They're just showing a small group of people trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, period.
What did you think of the opening scene? Of the opening scene in the projects?
The newsroom?
No, in the projects. With the SWAT team kicking down the doors in the projects.
It was pretty chaotic. I mean, it was really wild.
You did not notice that there was white cops indiscriminately shooting black people, whether they were zombies or not?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. So
getting into a little bit of the racism factor that still existed in 1978.
That is true.
A little bit of a social statement there.
There were I forgot to write that down.
Something that resonates very true today with police officers and current media,
and they did shoot the one cop that was doing that.
They did. That's true.
Finally, because he was completely unhinged and
who shot
crazy.
him? But who shot him?
Our man.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but our man. And then also...
Who was a football player in real life, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. And...
He also appears in Dawn of the Dead, the remake, and he's the pastor on TV who says, "When there's no more room left in hell, the dead will walk the earth." So he had a little bit of a cameo in the remake of Dawn of the Dead as well. So
it's a good line.
It is.
But that really weird traveling circus of... I don't know what the hell kind of guys they were. Military / biker gang / like crazy.
Well, that was meant to show the passage of time a little bit because they had been locked in the mall, and we don't really know how long they've been in the mall, but they
do a good job. Finally, making light of the film and just having nice little fun sequences of them just shopping, them robbing a bank, them having a private little date night.
So where they had kept semblances of normalism inside the mall, the world went to fucking Mad Max outside. Anybody who lived outside was in the Walking Dead world.
Yeah.
You know, so they were a little unhinged because they were working on the road. And they come across this mall and they see lights on. So yeah, sure, fuck it.
They see a helicopter, nonetheless.
Right. A ticket. That's what they saw.
A big-time meal ticket.
But these are people who have been on the outside for X number of months. Yeah. They've lost it a little bit. But so yeah, the outside world went Mad Max pretty quick.
Oh yeah, and it shows because they literally did go Mad Max style. I mean, they're throwing pies in zombies' faces, which was hilarious.
But also in that type of apocalypse, who's going to survive? The Michael Claytons of the world, or the fucking Sons of Anarchies of the world? Like, who survives in that? Only unhinged people survive things like that.
True.
So. Just saying.
Yeah, the Joe Pesci's of the world, right?
The Joe, right? The Tommies of the world. Yeah. They're the ones that make it.
So you're right. I mean, and it is true, and it's one of those things where, you know, I really got on board with the pace of it after that, and you could see and you could understand what was going on
right
in that world at the time, and then also, gosh, what would you do? You always think about that. Like, what would you do? You would do exactly what the fuck they did, you know, in a lot of ways. They were really smart with a lot of things. I thought that the whole truck sequence was very risky, but it was a really smart thing to do.
I think that
try and barricade themselves in this mall that they can literally survive on.
That story
for a long
works
time.
so much better with the smaller cast that it has.
Oh, of course.
It works when you get into, you know, Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. The larger cast, they don't really add anything. It's amazing how with a larger cast, they still did the same story beats, still did the same character beats, but they, you know, really what it meant was a lot of characters were added for fluff, for nothing. They were there to be archetypes, and that was it. And it was unneeded. Here you get people that have real emotions, who feel like real people going through real traumas. And what did you think of you know, who was really being billed as like the main guy? I mean, he gets bit and turns in that room.
Well, he was always a weird, unhinged kind of guy anyway. He was really hyper. He was just yelling all the time, a little erratic. I think you would probably like that guy.
Yep. Did like him.
I didn't like him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. No,
he was just, yeah, he was, and I liked the other guy. I liked his partner more, and I think he was a little bit more, and I liked his line when he was like, "Look, I need you to focus because this your decisions right now has my life in your hands right now as well, and I need you to dial it in. Like, you need to focus because, you know." He was just flying like a madman, like a cowboy out there, just trying to like do whatever the fuck he wants, screaming around, doing whatever the fuck he wants. I like the madman.
All right.
And his partner was really trying to do, you know, the right thing and be smart about things and not do anything too risky and try to survive and be smart about things.
So let's wrap this up, Jay. Did you like Dawn of the Dead, or did you enjoy your time with it?
I enjoy my time with it. I respect the movie.
Okay, you're never going to go back to it.
No, I would never go back to it.
Fair enough.
No, I never would. But I do respect it. It was hard. It was hard to get through, but at the same time, like I said, I really loved the story. Okay. The story was my favorite part about it, and the fact that the zombies were my kind of zombies, which was exactly
the slow moving,
the kind of thing that I wanted to see.
It's because this is the fucking proto zombie, man. This is the fucking original zombie, man. All right, so what is your score for it?
This is hard for me to score.
Nah, gun to my head, I scored Michael Clayton.
I know you did.
I thought about it. There was things there to enjoy, and I'll always give George Clooney a bit of a bump in everything that he's in. I even gave Hail Caesar a bit of a bump because he was in it. So
I'll give you a B-.
All right.
I'll match you with that
Fair
B-.
enough.
Yeah, it'll be a push.
So I had a favorite scene in Michael Clayton. It was a scene where he was in the car with his son, and he was just visiting his family. And he stops because his son had some questions about his uncle. His uncle was addicted to drugs and said, he wanted to know what he was doing there at the family party. He said, I've been clean for 8 days. Whoa, 8 days. Whoa, stop. 8 days? It's amazing, guy. Good job. Good luck. Yeah. So I loved when he stopped with his son and he told him, he's like, you're not these people. You're better than these people. You can do better than these people. You know, and I love that. And that was one of the things that like I really gravitated towards in the story was, and it really kind of not bothered me, but I really wished I saw more of that father-son relationship, because I really feel like that's something that he as a person struggled with, being a father. I feel like being a father was something that was hard for him. So seeing those moments,
I think being a parent in the city in that kind of job, he knows that
he's traveling all the time.
He's not around very often.
Recently divorced, etc.
And he knows the good people in the world and the bad people in the world, and he's mixed in with both.
Right, but I wish we got more scenes like that with his son. I wish we got more of who Michael Clayton really is. We were more shown who he was, and I I really didn't get to feel who he was from him. I got a lot of outsiders' perspectives on who he is. And that was, but that scene, you know, with his son was my favorite scene in the film. I thought that was one of the best scenes that George Clooney did in the entire film. And he had some good scenes in the film. He's a great actor, but that scene was definitely my favorite. So Dawn of the Dead, what was your favorite scene?
Probably one of the most surprising scenes for me was, I mean, there's a lot of fun moments, you know, for example, but I was surprised to see and our hero at the very end, when Peter, played by Ken Foree, decides to not just stay back and pretty much essentially commit suicide and fight off the zombies to let Francine fly off in a helicopter, you know, he decides to fight back. And it's the very last, 3-4 minutes of the film. And he gets out and he hops up and he jumps up on the helicopter and they fly away.
I love that.
And it's like, where to next? We have a little bit of gas. Like, all right, let's go.
And
that's it. And that's all it is, because that's all you can do. And that's all they have left in this world is just to go. Right. And just survive and just to go on.
Because there's nowhere else to really go with that story.
I was so shocked. I was so pissed off that he was trying to stay back so selfishly for no fucking reason to let a pregnant woman just fly off in a helicopter by herself, who would not survive because she could barely survive on her own in the fucking mall. And it really pissed me off.
I love that. Like a juggernaut. He just comes fucking flying out of that roof.
Right at the very end there, I was like, fuck yes. And that's what saved the movie for me. Because if he didn't do that, that would have really pissed me off. And that was my man throughout the whole movie, too. So him making that decision, I was like, really? And so, yeah, that was definitely my favorite part, because it ended with a bang for me.
All right, fair enough. So, Jay, movie homework next week. Which of the 3 films that I gave you are you going to watch?
Clockwork Orange.
I did not give you a Clockwork Orange, you fucktard.
Oh. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. One Flew.
So now everybody knows how much Jay pays attention to the production of this show.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I'm just this little fucking Dutch boy with his fingers stuck in a dam, holding the whole fucking thing together. If I ever move my finger, the whole fucking kit and caboodle comes down. Swear to Christ.
It's called editing, Dave. Edit this shit out.
I am not. It's called The Pen's Mightier Than the Sword. And in this case, I'm leaving this in.
Yeah, so One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I'm excited to watch. Thank you.
I am going to watch A Single Man. I said I would save Diving Bell and Butterfly for the end.
I recommend that.
So I am going to watch A Single...
I'm saving Evil Dead 2 for last, because it's going to take me a while to set up the fucking Blu-ray player that Dave lovingly gave me.
It's not that hard, man. It's like 2 plugs. You plug it into your TV with the HDMI cable, then you plug it into the wall, and then you pop a disc in after you've hit the eject button, and you're good to go.
With no remote control, so I got to do it manually.
No. So someone did comment on our movie homework episode at T_D_81 said that he loves #movie homework and that they do the same thing on their show, Take Two podcast. And he wanted to praise you, Jay, for picking Diving Bell and Butterfly.
My man.
I just wanted to give you a little,
Oh my God. I'm blown away right now.
I responded and I said, I'm definitely going to hate that movie. I just feel it. I know I'm going to hate it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But I did remind him that I am going to each of these movies. I'm trying to keep an open mind. I don't want to hate your movies for the sake of hating your movies. So I am going to go into it with an open mind. And you know me, I'm the type of guy who I get emotional with movies. So if it's something that strikes an emotional chord with me.
It is. It's heavy, but it's emotional.
I probably will enjoy it. However, I also... I think Evil Dead 2 is going to break you. I think it's really going to test. I think it's going to test you. I'm happy you're saving it for last, because I think we're both saving the movies that are trying.
We're going to struggle with the most.
Trying our patience the most.
Yeah.
Because the production quality of Evil Dead 2 is fucking zilch. I mean, Sam Raimi filmed that movie on less than a shoestring budget. So It's going to be pretty amazing to see your take on it.
Oh boy. Okay. Bring it on.
Yeah. So, and I also teased the fact that maybe you might get some more zombie films in your future, like Dead Alive, or Brain Dead as it was in Australia and New Zealand, and Reanimator, which it's a possibility you might get those two films.
These are really homework fucking movies.
Yeah.
Or are you just trying to bust my balls?
They're movies I really enjoy, movies I own.
All right.
So-
That's the criteria.
That's the criteria for right now until we switch it up, and then we get to go balls to the wall. Anything that that the other person hasn't seen that we really want to get into. But for right now, these are just the movies that we own. It has to be something you own to assign for movie homework. So that's gonna do it for me and Jay tonight. Jay, I'm happy that you found things to enjoy in Dawn of the Dead. I really am.
I did.
I wish I found a little bit more to enjoy in Michael Clayton.
Well, no, you did. I mean, the thing is, like, there were things that I enjoyed, but there was also a lot of things I did not enjoy. You know, like I said, it was hard for me to get through that first half. I mean, it was a struggle, and just the things, you know, way a lot of the actors were acting, and the way it's just shot, it's kind of slow in some parts. But
all my movies are extremely low budget, low production quality. All of your films are high production quality, low budget, but high production quality.
well, yeah, and they're going to be more on the newer side.
Yeah.
You know, they're not very old movies, so.
They're all auteur films, every single one that you gave me. So if you have any comments for me and Jay for the two films that we discussed in movie homework, please reach out to us at Super Movie Pod. Let us know what you think. If you want to reach out to Jay directly, he's on Twitter at JDShort009. You can also reach out to Jay on Facebook. He does run our Facebook. That's Super Movie Bros Podcast on there. You can also check us out and all the beers we review on Untapped. Remember that we don't just put our review beers from the episode up there. We put beers that we drink up there that we really enjoyed. Like during the episode, I drank a Lagunitas 2017 one-hitter series Born Yesterday Pale Ale that was fucking amazing. It is an unfiltered, fresh-hopped pale ale. I absolutely loved it. That will go up on Untapped.
And I actually drank one of Dave's favorite IPAs, the Ballast Point Fathom IPA 6.0.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to like a Ballast Point. I'm actually not a big fan of that brewery, but
it's a solid IPA, my God.
It is. So you can also check us out on Untapped for more beers that we try that aren't on the show if you're a huge beer fan. We are, of course, part of a network. We are part of the Podfix Network. So please go to www.podfixnetwork.com. Check out our show, what we have coming up on the calendar. But you can also check out other shows that are part of the Podfix Network. Absolutely love listening to the people that we work with in the Podfix Network. I also guest star on a lot of the shows. And me and Jay also are on this month's movie cocktail that we're doing for the Super Movie Bros. That's going to be due out on November 25th. We are joined by Rob from Fan Film Boys podcast and our good friend filmmaker Mark, who sit down and we discuss John Carpenter's 1982 sci-fi thriller classic, The Thing. And of course, we have an original cocktail. So make sure to check out Twitter because we put the original cocktail recipes up on there prior to the release of the episode so that you can make the drink and watch the movie before you listen to us discuss it. I want to thank everybody for listening. Have a great night.
Cheers.
Cheers.